Alright, currently sitting at 2-0 here for round 3, and as you can see, we have relocated back to the usual spot. So, a little more comfortable, a little more professional. So, our hand is real bad. A couple sixes, pretty far ways off for turning on Farika, so no Ferocious, no nothing, no removal. We have to mulligan. And this hand is perfectly fine. Any lands, get to play a Reaper. Even if we don't draw a land or we draw a land, the ATB's tapped, we still get to play Hero's Downfall. So this looks pretty good to me. And our opponent's on 6 also. So fair is fair. And we'll see what's going on here. What we're up against. We're up against the Rock, which could mean Abzan. And bang, there it is. Doomwake Giant. Not exactly what I wanted, but another guy for Ferocious, so not the worst overall. And should we get a Plains or a Forest? I think we should get a Plains. Let's get a Plains. We're going to need double white for Soul of Theros. If our Caryatid's going to die, it's going to be late, so if we draw a Courser in the meantime, should be able to cast it, but if we draw Soul of Theros late, we might not have double white. So, I think we should just get a Plains. We have the Caryatid Mirror. And we drew a Forest, so our Plains decision is paying dividends. And we're just going to run the Reaper out there. I'm not too scared of any removal spell. If he hits it, he hits it. I'm not going to wait to try and protect it, because if he does kill it and we draw a land, we can play Doomwake, and then he has to kill that. Otherwise, our See the Unwritten is pretty awesome. And it's kind of a tall order, asking to draw a couple lands in a row that come into play untapped, but stranger things have happened, you know? And it looks like our opponent is just going for a Courser, and he has a Mountain. So is he Brad's deck? He might have all the Chain to the Rocks and whatnot. So this should be interesting. We do draw a land, but our Reaper lived, so now I kind of just want to protect this thing. He does have all the lands. Oh, and I put it on my draw step, so good thing he didn't hit a land there. I was considering killing his thing. I think I probably would have. This is a Rhino. Okay. So ideal situation here is we block his Courser, kill his Rhino, scry into an untapped land, See the Unwritten for 2 fatty boom booms, and our opponent has a Foothills in his hand. That we know of. We hit a Whip. That's good. Certainly not bad. But even if I draw it, I'm not going to play it this turn. Probably just going to play Doomwake Giant. And if he is Brad's deck, I don't think he has Elspeth. But he certainly could, and that would be pretty bad for us if he just played Elspeth and killed our 2 guys. But Whip is really good with See the Unwritten. So I guess I'm going to keep it on top. And then we're just going to expose our Reaper again. We can take our draw step stop off because we are out of instant speed removal. So, there's an Eidolon Blossom, so it looks like we're getting closer and closer to Brad's deck. So now I'm going to look it up, because I want to make sure that I am not caught by surprise with anything. Although, it is worth mentioning, certainly, that you should not just assume that he's playing Brad's exact 75, just because, you know, people like to make their own changes to their decks, and Yeah, so it looks like he's just got a bunch of weird removal spells. One a Johnny, an Elspeth in the sideboard. This is from his versus video list. I believe his article list was slightly different. He actually shuffled away the Eidolon, which is good for me, I think. I'd much rather my opponent was not drawing cards. And you just want to play out the other Caryatids. So I understand that. And we draw Soul of Theros. That is not an untapped land for See the Unwritten. Alright, I'm just going to play Whip. I can tap the Caves for a black and keep the Caryatid open, which I think saves me 2 life. So I take 1 to save 2. That seems worth it to me. Now we get to give him some beatdowns here. And then we just need a mana to play our powerful 6 drops. So all in all, so far, I'm pretty glad I kept the Whip on top. Does not look like he has any main deck way to remove it, which is certainly good for us. Now our opponent just has to take his beatings. The old 8-point life swing. Well, 16-point life swing overall, but 8-point drain. So now our opponent has a Rhino and a Courser. And apparently he does not want that Satyr Wayfinder. So, yeah, there are 3 force in the deck. So, still gets to find a land. Chain to the Rocks on top. So now if he goes Eidolon, if he had an Eidolon already, it'd be kind of scary because he could just do it this turn. But does not appear to be the case. Kind of think he should have played that Courser first to gain an extra life. But maybe just rush through it. Time is certainly a consideration. So he's back to having a card that I don't know about. But a Chain to the Rocks on top, which is probably going to be pretty good. Okay, so now we have a land. So now, can run out Soul. That's pretty bad if he has, since he has Chain on top. I think we're just going to play See the Unwritten. And if he wants to chain our Reaper of the Wilds or whatever we get, that's just fine, you know. Want to put 2 fatties into play and fill up the yard for this Whip of Erebos. So we hit a Rhino, a Wayfinder, and a Soul of Theros for things that we can put into play. I think we want Rhino Soul, and then he's going to chain our Soul, but that's fine because we have another one. Alternatively, we could just dump the Soul in the yard and get a Wayfinder. That might also be good because that'll get us closer to Pharika or the Reclamation Sage, and both of those would be fantastic right now. So yeah, I think I'm actually just going to put the Soul in the yard. I don't know, though. Having Soul in play would be really good, too. So if he chains our Soul, then we can just safely play this other Soul. Decisions, decisions. You know what? I'm going to do the Wayfinder. No real rhyme or reason, I don't think. I think I just want to get closer to Pharika. And he's probably going to chain my Reaper this turn anyway. So we just... It's Brick City here. Brick City. No good attacks because he has a bunch of good double blocks. And we don't have Death Touch mana up. Maybe we should have just attacked with Reaper first. Because he probably wouldn't double block. So yeah, we probably missed out on some damage there. I was a little too excited to see what the Unwrittens had for us. Okay, so he plays a Mire off the top, has a chain and a random card in his hand, and another chain on top. And has 2 swamps in his deck, so that's kind of cool. So now I have a bunch of enchantments in the yard. Wouldn't be surprised if he killed Doomwake Giant, actually. I want to peak eruption that mountain so bad. They only have 1 mountain. And he did kill Doomwake Giant. Okay. Reaper is still alive. Alive and kicking. And he's not going to attack, so I know he doesn't have a Doomwake, because I think that'd be a pretty good attack for him there if he did. So I can't whip something and activate Soul. But I'm going to play this land so I can activate Soul and potentially Death Touch. And we're just going to set in some fatties here. We'll see what the rock wants to do. Okay. Is it worth me blowing a soul? I think it is. Because I'm still trying to bait him into chaining the rocks, my Reaper. And we get a little scry action. Definitely don't need this Urborg. So I've certainly seen better soul activations. That Wooded Foothills is blank, I believe. Don't think he has any more lands to fetch with that. But he's probably going to want to crack this Mire to get rid of the Sandstep Citadel. And I just dropped my mouse. I'm a mess. Alright, so he is chaining. Presumably this Reaper. So now we might be free to just cast the soul we have in our hand. And worth noting that we are up on time, which is great. So I'm just going to jam this soul. I'm not going to try and get too cutesy with Courser, because if this soul does not get chained, then we are going to do bad things to our opponent from here on out, I think. And is his upkeep? Yeah, I believe he should fetch away the Bloodstained Mire, or fetch away with the Bloodstained Mire. No, a chain to the rocks. Stop that. God, I want to kill that mountain. And a Hornet Queen on top. Ugh, things are getting dicey. Okay, so his random card was an Evolving Wilds. Has a Swamp and a Plains to fetch out of his deck. And that is really unfortunate. So both of our souls are gone unless we can find our Reclamation Sage. We have a Caryatid on top? That's so not good. That's just really not great at all. I'm going to whip Anafenza. And this gains me some life and makes my Rhino a little bit bigger, so he can't just block with a Rhino here. Gains me a bunch of life also. I probably should have attacked with the Wayfinder. I'm not going to block with it, and I would love to mill it. I would love to mill myself again. I should have attacked with the Wayfinder too. That was bad. Next turn, next turn. We'll do it next turn. Alright, I want to kill this rhino because it's big. Oh, there we go. And we are in some trouble. A Johnny, too, man. He has drawn all the hits. We need to find this Reclamation Sage stat. Or another Doomwake would be great. See the Unwritten would also be great, but both are in the graveyard, unfortunately. We have a Wayfinder on top, so that's not the worst thing ever. So we're going to whip this Rhino. And we'll attack with the Wayfinder now. At this point, with the Wayfinder on top, we're not like favored to hit our Sage or anything, but it's getting to be that point where, you know, we're getting closer and closer to finding Sage, and throwing away a guy when we want to unlock our Soul of Theros is not probably the best plan, but I do want to increase our chances of actually getting there. Because the Johnny's going to make things tough, though. Ah, man, an Eidolon, too. All the hits. We're up on time, though. And that might be our win condition, actually. Yeah, maybe we should have just cast the Soul. Made him chain that, and then chain our next one, and then we still have Reaper. Because, like, the Soul got us a little bit of value. I got to mill myself for 4 more, and it killed a Rhino, basically. And did some damage, and let me scry since I had Reaper and everything, but I think it was probably better to just make him have to chain our good stuff. So Lightning Strike on top is not very exciting for our opponent, but yeah, he's going to shuffle that away. I'm pretty sure he's out of lands for that Foothills. No, wait. Oh, he has a second mountain. Look at him. See? Changed. Changed from Brad's deck. Interesting. He's going digging. Trying to make sure that he can Eidolon into a real spell. And it's Courser. I mean, it's not the worst spell, plus it draws him another card off his Eidolon. And a Doomwake. Doomwake's going to be good. That will also draw him a card. Reclamation Sage, please. I believe that is what we need. Alright, we'll get that temple out there. Definitely don't want that plains. Don't really want this Rhino either. I think it's better in the graveyard to just whip back. Temple of Milady. So we can try and Wayfinder here. And yeah, I think that's probably better. Because I really don't want to draw that temple. Put it in my hand, though. Then what do we got? Another temple? Man. That thing has haste, so I'll attack you. Alright, so now he should be out of lands to fetch with that Bloodstained Mire. I hope he doesn't have more than 2 mountains or 2 swamps, but we'll see. It is a free shuffle to get that Foothills out of there. And it looked like a brick. So 3, 2, 2, 1 is his mana base. So you drew a Wayfinder and do another Wayfinder? That's what it looks like. Yep. Yeah, now I'm 5 minutes up, and I feel like we're probably just going to have to time him out. And he gets a Temple of Plenty. So now he has a Temple and a Doomwake Giant with a Courser on top. Sure wish I had some Back to Natures to board in against this deck. Whew. Kill all those chains. Be like the best fake See the Unwritten ever. Alright, Doomwaking me, drawing a Courser. I forgot what his other card was. I should know this. Oh well, I'm over it. My board is slowly deteriorating. And I think I would need a Soul of Innistrad to actually get back in this game, because I don't think I'm going to be naturally drawing Doomwake or Pharika. Might actually get to a point where I can whip one or the other, and then Wrath his board once. And since he doesn't have a whip, that might be good, but maybe I could also just hit the Sage and Sage back my Doomwake. That's probably better than getting Soul at this point. Yeah, so he's taking his sweet time, so that's good for me. That's our win condition. That is his life points right now, I think. If this was real life, I probably would concede, even though there's a reasonable chance that I get to win this game. And he's just going beatdowns, putting 5, or 3 counters rather on that Hornet Queen, making it a 5/5. So he's like, hey, I actually have to kill this guy. So that's smart. It's definitely true. Oh, he's just keeping it back. Okay. Interesting. Anafenza is not the worst. Not the actual worst. That'll help if I find a whip. Or if he finds a whip, rather. But I'm not too concerned with that right now. Mill over some rhinos. Not very exciting. Landward Waste on top. Try to play an extra land. Moto won't let me, so good on you, Moto. Ah! Almost an attack. I think out of those Wayfinders I needed to hit, and now I'm in trouble. I mean, I was in a lot of trouble before, but now I'm in a really big amount of trouble. It's pretty good that I haven't drawn an Urborg yet, because that does a pretty good job of fixing his mana. Like, obviously when the game gets to this point... Oh, Temple of Plenty, that was his other card. So now he has a fetch land, and I forgot his other one. But, yeah, Urborg does a pretty good job of fixing his mana early, so I definitely don't want to play that if I can avoid it. But I was thinking about him having mana to play Whip and activate in the same turn, but yeah, now he's just going off with Eidolons. Doom waking all my dudes. But thankfully his deck is rather slow and ponderous and does not have much time on his clock. And again, in theory, I could still win. don't think I'm going to. But if we rattle off Sage into Farico, we'd be in pretty good shape. And we can hold on for a while here, I think. Hitting us for 11, psh, no big deal. NBD, as the kids say. And at this point, I've scratched it. Well, he should be attacking with coursers and whatnot. I don't know what he's really doing there. Because he's going to play another Eidolon and Doomwake a bunch of my stuff. So, he's just missing out on points, I think. There's the second Doomwake Giant, so that's going to clean up all my guys. I know he's worried about me whipping back Rhino and whatnot and having enough toughness to block everything, but you just played another Courser and you kept an Insect back and you have Caryatids and stuff. So I don't think you need to be too worried about that. Well, there's a Wayfinder. And I guess that's better than drawing a random card. And we're just doing the same old song and dance here. Whip back a Rhino, gain some life. Try to make him a little scared. But Doomwake makes for a pretty good blocker, so. Ooh, Crackling Doom. Definitely a cool card. Definitely very good. I just don't think it's really at home here in this deck. If you're worried about Heroic, certainly, but I don't know. I guess it kills Storm Breath and stuff. Oh, here they come. You can just right-click attack with all creatures, and then click on this to make it stay home. But we should be dead here in 2 turns, I would imagine. How did our hand end up 4 lands? Mysteries. He has successfully killed all of my creatures. I recommend F7 to not have to stack all those triggers. I'll just put them on the stack for you. Save you a little bit of time. Yeah, there's no way he's winning with 6 minutes. Come on. So I think we're winning. It's certainly not a clean victory. This is kind of the dirty way. But I think if we had infinite time, I could win this match. But since we're online, I'm playing to my outs and all that. But I definitely don't feel good about it. It just kind of is what it is, you know? So maybe we can mill a Sage. And nope, still nothings. Whip back another Rhino, I guess. Hey, there it is. And I have a lot of reason to be scared because that Johnny's about to go ultimate. Don't know how anyone beats that. Man, only 9 cards left in my deck? You doomed me? Alright. So now I'm dead. But gotta attack first. That should eat up precious, valuable seconds. And so far this game has gone on for 30 minutes, and I've played under 10 of those minutes. So you gotta be respectful of your opponents and try and make sure that you're not spending too much of the clock doing your own thing. And I like on Magic Online that it actually punishes you for that. And sure, it might be a product of a poor internet connection and stuff, but in real life, it is very frustrating to play a 50-minute match and only play for 15 of those minutes and end up with a draw. Because your opponent took the other 35. So that's just something to be mindful of, you know, it is a two-player game, and your opponent might not necessarily want to sit there while you think over all your decisions. Right-click, attack all, man, I'm telling you. It's the truth. Negative 15. With 4.5 minutes left on his clock, so fairly dominating performance there by my opponent, but is not good enough. So definitely don't really like the caryatids here. Kind of like everything else that's going on. Bioblight's not the worst because he has Eidolons and might end up with 2 in play. Glare kills Rhino and Chain to the Rocks, so I want a couple of those for sure. The Wingmate Rocks would be pretty good if I'm able to Doomwake away his Hornet Queens or have a Soul of Theros. So I can see bringing those in as well. Then maybe just cutting some of the removal because actual hard removal doesn't seem great. So something like this seems okay. Yeah, I'll roll with this. Maybe we should sideboard more defensively because he's so low on time. But I don't think... Yeah, I guess he only has to win this game. So maybe we should have sideboarded very defensively. And just kept in all the removal and maybe some Bioblights and whatnot, and not messed around with things like Soul of Theros. Whip probably could have come out. I also could have looked at Brad's sideboard, I suppose. See if he had anything sweet. Some Xenagoses, Thoughtseizes, some Disenchants. So nothing too aggressive. Feel kind of bad if I lost after him only having 4.5 minutes. But if it's my own fault because I sideboarded poorly, then so be it. I'm willing to live with that. I would love to play first. Playing first is great. And this hand is great. Farika is fantastic, especially with the cards I have, but I think I'm a little ways off of actually getting to use that. And we have 2, and so we might be able to find one by the time we need it, and we have fetch lands to shuffle it back into our deck too, potentially, so I don't mind putting it on the bottom. I don't think it's necessarily going to stay there forever. It looks like we're getting Thoughtseized. I don't really like Thoughtseize in these matchups, because the games go super late, and any Thoughtseize you draw is basically a dead draw. But if he's trying to close the game in a short amount of time, which I understand, he's trying to be more aggressive, then I understand him bringing in Thoughtseize. If I were him, I would probably take the Courser, but obviously it depends on what's in his hand. But that's certainly the best card in my hand. He does take the Sage, so maybe he's leaning on his own Courser, his own Chain to the Rocks. And well, I guess if he wanted to take our Sage, it's probably worth keeping on top. So we'll run this little Courser out here. Nice little brick wall. Glare on top, not the best. Don't have any white mana. Obviously, it's going to be a good card, but first and foremost, I just need a 4th land. Sorry about those whammies. Plains or Heath. Perfect. Alright, now we're in the driver's seat. So, even if he didn't have a bunch of time left, I think I'm favored to win this game, especially with a Charm on top to draw 2 cards and give me a little bit more gas going into the late game. But I think now I'm so set up that he's probably not going to be able to kill me in time. Another chain, no big deal. I can always glare that whenever I want. And wanted to draw that Abzan Charm. So now we can fetch. Moo. Moo, attack you. So this is not the type of hand our opponent wants if he wants to win a game in 4 minutes. Yeah, a bunch of Chain of the Rocks and Thoughtseizes. Like, that's not going to kill me. Now we just wait for the clock to tick down. Oh, Crackle. Big crackles. Ooh, Wingmate Rock. That's a magic card. I'm just going to keep playing things. I could try and like glare his chain and unlock my Courser and try and get some value that way, but I'm just going to put him on the defensive. Make it so he basically can't kill me in time. So normally I'm not bringing Xenagos in this matchup, so it does look like he was trying to get aggressive. And we are Glare of Heresy rich. Attack Xenagos. I guess with both. Maybe we should attack him with the Sage. Fine with that. Could use a white mana. There we go. Top. Glare this. Play my Heath. Just going off. Going off. Rhino. Not sure I'm going to be able to beat that, guys. Might be game. And I could draw the See the Unwritten. But I'm just going to kill his Rhino. Like, kill all of his permanents, basically. Oh, another See the Unwritten. Cool. Alright, attack Xenagos, attack you. Yeah, I feel like I should keep that on top, because why not? And then we are going to rock out. So 1-1, win the match, I think. That's what this is coming down to. Again, kind of a dirty way to win, but Got to play quick. There's no, even with a bad internet connection, there's no reason you should have 13 less minutes than me after 2 games. Like, I'm commentating too. Our decks are kind of equally slow and ponderous, and kind of a bad beat, but I don't feel bad. I've won and lost the exact same way. And, you know, goes around, comes around, but you gotta play quick. I really like these whip decks, but that is certainly the worst part about them. Alright. SCG Blue wins, sort of. Not really, but yeah, I wish we could have played a game 3, and I wish we honestly could have played a real game 2, because I'm not sure he would have brought in his Thoughtseizes and Xenagos otherwise. I think it was just a move to try and kill me, but he probably should have mulliganed that hand, because there's no way he could have killed me in time, so I think these matches are pretty fun and interesting, and so far we played against 2 aggro decks and a whip deck, and that's basically what I wanted to play against, so that's pretty cool. Like, you look at my hand, and, you know, what I have in play, my graveyard, all of these cards are powerful. Like, post-board, I'm not really a synergy deck, I just have a lot of really good cards, and I like that. I think that's the stance that you have to take now, that everyone has a bunch of hate cards. So, overall, 3-0, and I think it's been working out pretty